Hey everyone, Sam here from Wasted Potential, coming at you with another Making Food Sustainably segment. This time, we're going to use an ingredient very common in the Middle East, eggplant, to make ourselves something that is like a burger or falafel. In this case, I've made falafel and put it into a pita. Let's get started. So first of all, in making eggplant burgers, let's just go over our ingredients. We of course have our main ingredient, the star of the show, our eggplant. Next, we have the other essential ingredients, garlic, onion, spring onion. Of course, we have our salt. We'll be using paprika. We'll be using black pepper as well. We'll have an egg for binding everything together when we go to fry it. Speaking of frying, we will also be using our trusty sunflower oil. Last but not least, breadcrumbs, which I personally made myself. You can get them from the store, I'm sure, but I enjoy making them homemade. So the first thing we're going to do to start the process is we're going to prepare our eggplants here. So it's going to take an hour or so of boiling until they become soft. So we need to prepare them for the boiling process. So what you're going to want to do, take off this part. You can take off the end too. Don't need that. And then we're going to cut slits into our eggplant, all down the side, down each side. This is just going to allow the water to cook into the eggplant a little bit more. So see, should be a little bit opened like that, but they can still be together. So we'll do that with the rest of our eggplant now. The original recipe that I followed said to use about 2 to 3 eggplants. I'm going to use 5 eggplants because they fit into my pot, and that is what I have to use. Basically, you just want to balance out your ingredients then, and the eggplants that you use will be varying sizes, I'm sure. Use your best judgment about how you want your burger mix to turn out. For instance, the recipe that I followed calls for using cheese. I've made it without cheese already. It's not really that important to the process. I think it's a flavor thing and it keeps it together a little bit more. But I kind of just enjoy making it without because, as I've mentioned in previous videos, my body doesn't digest dairy very well. I'm lactose intolerant. So any excuse not to use dairy in something, I'm okay with. Now we have all of our cut eggplant, and we're going to enter it into our pot of water that we're going to put on the stove for about an hour or so. If they come apart like that, don't worry about it. It's all just gonna become a soupy mess anyway at some point. Looks like we're gonna need to add a little bit more water. No worries. You just want to add enough water to cover everything for the most part. During the cooking process, you should probably turn them a few times just to make sure that they get equally cooked. Now we will cover up our pot and we'll take it over to the stove. Now while our eggplant is cooking on the stove, getting soft, we can start preparing our other ingredients, our garlic, our spring onions, our onion. Make sure you clean everything and wash everything off real well. Get rid of all the dirty skins. Shout out to Shadow Frost for giving me this onion that she grew. You're awesome. Usually you're supposed to use more cloves of garlic in this recipe, but I think that's mainly just a flavoring thing. You can really use whatever you want in this. Just totally make it your own. We'll dice our garlic and our onion. So you're supposed to use a little bit more garlic in this recipe. In the recipe it said you're supposed to use 5 cloves of garlic, but I don't have that. So instead I'm just going to substitute it with some onion. I think it'll be fine. I'm not such a big fan of the taste of garlic in general, so I'm okay with substituting it with some more onion. Okay, got our spring onion. Put that with our garlic and onion mix. So now we have our onion garlic mix, and we'll be able to add that to our eggplant when it is finished cooking. Okay, let's take a quick look at how our eggplant are doing. Looking pretty boiled, I'd say. I think we'll take them out, let them cool off for a bit. And the lid. Some good steam coming out. So take a look at one of our pieces. It's very, very soft. So that's the necessary amount of cooking time. Put them into our bowl. So we're gonna let these cool for a little bit. Just take them out of the pot. Put them in here. Let all the excess water come out. And then after that, we can just get rid of our water in our pot. We don't need this anymore. Now we just have our eggplant that's ready to cool. So we'll get back to that when it's cooled a bit. Now that our eggplant has completely cooled, what we're going to do is we're going to separate everything into half. So we'll just take half of our eggplant here, half of it here. So this half, what we're going to do is we're going to skin the eggplant. Just take the skin, unwrap it, should be really easy. Now we're going to put it in our bowl, and then we're just going to keep doing this for all of these pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this is the part where we're going to smush our eggplant down to make our nice little burger base. So just take all the soft insides out of your eggplant. It should just come out really easily. Now for this section of eggplant, what we're going to do is we're going to dice it up finely to small little tiny pieces, as is the definition of dicing. So let's cut them up really thin, and take them, and then just dice them. If you're wondering why I chose to use eggplant as my base for the burger, eggplant doesn't really replace the protein found in regular burgers, but it is a pretty good base for one. Uses relatively simple ingredients to put it together. It's very, very tasty. You could also make it into like small balls, like falafel balls, which I tend to like doing, putting it into a pita and eating it that way. But of course you can make it into burger patties and whatever else you want. Great. So now we have all of our diced eggplant here, and we will add that shortly. So for this part, what we're gonna do with our skinned eggplant is we're just going to smush it down. We're just gonna take a fork, basically turn it into mush. If that's not enough and you really want to make sure that you get it into nice, smooth, like sauce consistency, you can just run it through your hands, squeeze it that way. Sometimes it pays to get your hands a little messy. Now that we have our eggplant base, we are going to add in our diced eggplant. After we put on our diced eggplant, we'll enter our garlic and onion mixture. Next we'll add in our spices, our teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of black pepper, our 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs, some salt for seasoning, about half a teaspoon I have here. Of course, it's always suited to taste, so as you please. And our egg. So now we have it all in here. We have everything in here inside of our mixing bowl, so let's just take our spatula and just mix it all around. Eventually, it's going to become a nice, smooth, wet consistency. The breadcrumbs will stick to the egg. It'll make all the eggplant and the onion and the garlic all stick together. And then what we'll have is we'll have a nice bit of ground eggplant mixed with other things. It'll be really tasty. Of course, when in doubt, just take your hands to it. Try to mush it together. And that's pretty much it. That's all it takes to making eggplant burger. We've done the prep work, and next we can start to cook it. Now our eggplant burger mix is nice and smushy, so you can really feel that texture. So that'll be really good when we start to fry it. That's pretty much all it takes to making the mix of the burgers. So next we're going to put them onto a skillet, pop them on the stovetop, and then we're gonna fry them up in our oil. The nice thing about our mix is that it preserves really easily. You just have to put it in a container and put it in the freezer. So you just need a nice Tupperware container like this, or any type of reusable container will do. So my suggestion is that if you want to save the mix for more than 2 days, you should probably put it in the freezer. But if you're only keeping it for a couple of days, like less than 2, you're gonna make some tomorrow, then you could just put it inside of the fridge for a day. It should be fine. I've taken the rest of my eggplant burger mixture and placed it in the freezer to preserve it. So I'm just going to work with this amount, this nice slab here. And basically what I'm gonna do is just start forming it into small ball shapes. I'm making them into ball shapes because I'm actually going to make something that's sort of akin to falafel, which are just balls of chickpeas and other mixed things that you fry. You find this a lot in Israel and in the Middle East in general. So I'm just going to make a few of these eggplant burger balls, and they're going to go into a pita then. So then I'll sort of have my own bit of falafel. So in a way I'm sort of making like a street food mixture. As in Israel, this is the street food. It's sort of the equivalent of fast food in a way. Of course, the only difference is that falafel is vegan, but obviously these eggplant burger balls are not vegan. If you find a mixture that does not have the egg in it, feel free to share it. I'd be happy to know about it. But for now, we just have these eggplant burger balls. As you can see, we have everything mixed in, and these are gonna fry up pretty nicely. We'll put these in some oil in a pot or a pan just to get them to fry up, and then they'll be good to go. And so basically what we do is we put the eggplant burgers or eggplant falafel into a pot or a pan with some oil, and just gonna put some oil in, enough to get them halfway covered because we're gonna flip them anyway, so that we don't have to use as much oil because it's kind of a waste. And then one by one, we're going to put our falafel into the pan or pot. And we're just gonna let them cook for a while, sort of get them fried up a bit. Now we've removed our eggplant falafel from the heat. See, nice brown. Maybe some of you are thinking that it looks a little too dark. What I'm going for is a bit more of a falafel-like mixture. So in this case, I think the coloration of the eggplant falafel is pretty good. What we're gonna do now to prepare it to eat, take away the falafel. So we grab ourselves a plate. I'm gonna grab a bit of fresh pita, rescue pita, and so now going to put in a few balls, just like in typical falafel fashion. Have a bit of a prepared salad, chopped salad here. Got some leafy vegetables, cucumber, pickles, some tomato. We'll just take some of that, put it in. And we'll take a couple more falafel. Put it on top. And for a sauce, I prepared a nice Russian dressing. And that, my friends, we have a nice little pita. Perfect snack, handheld, good to go. So that, my friends, is how you make a nice eggplant falafel in a pita, as I prepared it here. It's got nice dressing, balls are pretty crispy, just as you'd expect from a falafel, and have a little bit of salad to put in it, so it's a nice tasty treat. And if you want to make it as burgers, say you're in America, you have a 4th of July weekend coming up, then this is perfect. If you're vegetarian and you don't eat meat, then this is good. And if you want it to be vegan, all you need to do is substitute the egg out for something else to bind it together. Thank you for joining me on this eggplant burger falafel journey. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. I've been Sam from Waste Potential. Thank you for tuning in. See you on the flip side. Peace.